The pill is back. Hands up, I've never had a Beats pill before. That sounds weird. I've never used or owned a Beats pill. Firstly, a very quick history lesson, which I definitely needed. The original Beats pill arrived in 2012, and thinking back, I do remember it doing that whole kind of Beats thing where it appeared in loads of music videos, and suddenly it became one of the main daily carry items of a lot of big celebrities and sports stars. In 2015, after the Apple acquisition of Beats, the Beats Pill Plus arrived, which I vaguely remember, and that was unfortunately very quietly discontinued in 2022. So the Beats Pill definitely made a mark on the kind of Bluetooth portable speaker industry. It never had quite the same seismic impact as the Beats headphone range, which is just huge. However, we are now in an era of these portable Bluetooth speakers being very, very popular. For me, these Bluetooth speakers are basically the things that you take out to barbecues when the family comes around. But I know there's a much bigger use case for them when it comes to taking them to the beach, taking them traveling, taking them down to the park with your mates and that sort of stuff, and having house parties. And it's dominated by the likes of JBL and Soundcore, which is why, understandably, Beats wants another piece of that pie. You want to keep doing that with this. Anyway, let's talk specs and pricing. This has been completely redesigned, and it has a racetrack woofer, which is the shape of a racetrack, as you might guess. There's a separate tweeter, which has a two-way crossover between it and the woofer. The drivers have 1.9 times more air volume displacement than the Beats Pill Plus. The motor force is 28% stronger, and it features a 20-degree upward tilt for improved on-axis listening. The Beats Pill also plays back lossless audio via cable at up to 48 kHz and 24-bit. The battery promises 24 hours of continuous listening, and a 10-minute charge delivers 2 hours of playback. It has IP67 dust and water resistance, Bluetooth 5.3, which does have multi-point pairing for Android only, but also it's got the one-touch pairing for iOS and Android, and Find My Device support for both platforms, so most stuff is covered. It comes in matte black, champagne gold, and this lovely statement red, which is the one that I've been given to review. The Beats Pill is compatible with iOS and Android, as I've just mentioned. It's available now, and it costs £149.99 in the UK. Let's talk about the design first. It weighs 681 grams, which is nicely weighty. It's got that kind of assuring weight that isn't too heavy to carry around. That's what you want from one of these speakers. In terms of the size, it's roughly the same height as most headphone cases these days, which means it's pretty easy to sling into your bag. And it has this very nice colour matched lanyard, which does come in the box. You don't have to order it separately. If there's nowhere obvious to put it onto a surface, you can use that to hang it off a hook or anything really. It's just a very nice way to dangle it off things and have it playing. And it feels nice too. It uses silicone. This is like a silicone finish, which mercifully in this day and age doesn't appear to pick up many smudges and fingerprints. This is the red version, obviously. I've not tried the black one or the champagne one, but on this one it seems to retain its cleanliness very easily. I've chucked this in the garden. I've used it in fairly dirty places, which sounds weird, but you know what I mean. It's been out and about with me, and it hasn't picked up any scuffs, scratches, or, like I say, fingerprints, and I know that matters. That's all we want from these speakers. They just need to be robust, waterproof, just approved, and dustproof, which is harder to demonstrate in here, but it's such an easy thing to live with, which again is what you want. Now I have a wet desk. Nice. I'm a big fan of the design as well. It's very modern Beats. It's kind of in your face, but not too much. And we have physical buttons. If you know me, you know I'm very boring about physical buttons. I think they're incredibly important on audio devices just to make them easy to use. The only issue I've had with the Beats Pill is the power button. The reason it's a bit of an issue is because it doubles as the Bluetooth button, which isn't unusual. You know, most headphones have that where you long press to instigate Bluetooth pairing. The problem with this is that I wish one press would turn it on. Instead, you have to hold it for about 0.8 seconds. Fine. However, if you do it for slightly too... If you do it for slightly too long, you go into Bluetooth pairing. It's a small gripe and you do get used to it, but that's the only niggly thing I found about it. The rest of the buttons are fine. We get dedicated volume buttons, we get a center button which is used for play controls and all that sort of stuff. The battery life, 24, I'm getting so wet. 24 hours is perfect for anyone. The quick 10-minute charge that gives you 2 hours back is very, very useful as well. And you can use this as a power bank. So you can plug a USB cable into here, plug that into your phone for instance, and it does this kind of intelligent thing where it recognizes if it's a phone you're connecting it to, it thinks, okay, you clearly want to charge your phone, whereas if you plug this into something bigger like a laptop or something else that you might want to be charging this from, it automatically reverses the charging. That said, you can reverse the charging automatically by pressing the power button 3 times. And if you're wondering how you find out how much battery you have left, you just press the power button once and it flashes green or amber or red, obviously. To be fair, you get that on your phone, so for instance on here it will tell me that there's 50% remaining. But what you care about is how this thing sounds. The strapline for the Beats Pill is seriously loud, and it needs to be in this very saturated market because we have some very noisy, very loud Bluetooth speakers in it already. So the big question is, can it compete? And the answer is, yes, I think it can in the right setting. Now, I don't think that many people are going to use one of these in a big house. If you've got a massive house, a humongous, entertaining space, you're probably not going to be using the Beats Pill. For most people's normal sized homes, like mine, and normal sized gardens and that sort of stuff, and trips to the beach and barbecues and things, this does a very good job. It's definitely loud enough for those sorts of situations. It's got a nice balanced sound as well. It copes with most types of music pretty well. The only thing I've noticed, and I find this with a lot of these smaller Bluetooth speakers, is that when it comes to kind of kick drum heavy dance music, there's a bit of distortion there. You can't really push this thing, which is physics. I mean, look at the size of it. The driver in here, the woofer, which I think is on this side, is about that big. It's not going to give you really heavy pumping bass at volume, so you do have to be a little bit careful with that. And if you're wondering, no, you can't EQ that out because there's no EQ. You get what you're given basically with the Beats Pill. That isn't a bad thing because it's a decent sound, and also it's the same team working on this as it is the headphone range. It does sound very similar. There's a definite correlation between this and the headphone range. The key thing is Beats just wants this to be plug and play, no faffing around with EQ, no messing about with settings, just plug in your phone via Bluetooth or via USB and enjoy your music. And on the subject of USB, you can indeed connect your phone to that port there and play back lossless audio, which I think the intended market for this probably will never ever think about that, but it's nice to know that's an option. Now, I know you want me to play this back for you now so you can hear it, and if I don't, people will tell me off in the comments. A very, very quick caveat here. What you're about to hear is not representative of what this sounds like. This is going through that mic, it's going through processing in Final Cut Pro, it gets compressed by YouTube, you then listen to it on a device via a pair of headphones or earbuds. It's gone through so many changes before it gets to your ears, so what you're about to hear is nearly pointless, but if I don't do it, you'll tell me off, so let's do it. That's max volume. That's one of my tracks. If you're interested, you're probably not. And I have ticked that box now, so you can't tell me off in the comments. You have heard it. What was interesting then, though, is that track has a lot of low-end stuff going on and a very punchy kick drum. I didn't hear any of that distortion. Even when I cranked the volume up, it didn't distort. So that was quite a good test, actually. So cheers. If you're wondering, you can connect 2 Beats Pills together. There's 2 modes for that. One is called Amplify, which basically plays back in mono just for a bigger, a 2 times sound, I guess, if you like. And the second mode is Stereo, which does exactly what it says on the tin. I didn't get to test that because I only have one. And yes, it accepts phone calls, and yes, it does have voice assistance. Both of those things, the calls and also the voice assistant, are still running from your phone. It's just like a pair of headphones, basically, and it does both of those things perfectly well. Which brings me to my inevitable conclusion about the Beats Pill. At just under 150 quid, this is not a cheap Bluetooth speaker, but it was never going to be. This is a Beats product. You do pay a bit more of a premium for them, but in return these days, you get very nice build quality. You get a lovely design. I think this looks great. I love the size of this thing, and the sound does exactly what it should do. It sounds good, it goes loud enough for the situations in which it will find itself, and you get a lanyard. But the key thing is, this is the sort of speaker that you want to take around. It's something about this design, the lanyard, the sound, everything about it. Chucking this into your bag is very satisfying. I'm actually going on holiday this week, and this is definitely coming with me. There's something about this, it's got that wantability factor, which is so important, and it means that if you spend 150 quid on this, you won't feel shortchanged. There are other options out there. You can go for JBL, you can go for Soundcore, you can spend less if you want to. But if you're a Beats person, if you're just interested in trying something different, this is worth it. Beats has been very busy this month, and if you want to check out my thoughts on the new Beats Solo Buds earbuds, keep watching for a link.